Hi, watch me paint this abstract seascape. It's based on the Jurassic Coast, inspired by the Jurassic Coast, and I'm incorporating bits of fossil rock that I've picked up from the coast, from the beaches like Charmouth and Durdle Door and Lyme Regis, all those at Kimmeridge, and I've picked up fossils. And what I've done is I kept them in a bag, and then I've emptied the bag into a little saucer, and I've got all the bits. So I'm going to incorporate bits of netting to represent the sea and the fishing. I'm going to use hessian for that. And I'm going to incorporate the fossil rock for texture. So watch as I paint this. A little plate full of bits of Jurassic rock. And it's very crumbly, especially around Seaton, the beach there. Is very, very crumbly. The rock's really crumbly. So I've got all these bits and I'm going to incorporate them into my painting. But in order to do that, I need to have some kind of a base. So this beautiful canvas, I'm just about to ruin it. I'm going to use light modelling paste to give it texture. So it's a bit like gesso. So I'm going to use this. And I'm going to smear it around and I'm going to put it all over the canvas to create a textured effect. And I'm smearing it around, making the waves effect, and now spreading out the fossil rock and the string and the hessian, and then some ink. And I'm spraying it with the water spray, spreading it around, and then I've left it to dry. So now I'm going to move from ink into paint and start using acrylic paint, which I'm going to spread around liberally, trying to blend the colours a bit more. So you can see the string, the mixed media effect there, and that's been glued down now into the modelling paste, which is the basis of the water of the sea. I want it to seem as though it's a tempest at sea, and the top third of the picture is going to be the sunset, and then the middle is going to be where the sea meets the sky, and then the bottom third is going to be the raging water, the raging sea. And I'm hoping to use some of the texture of the hessian and the string to create wave effects where it's going to be flicking upwards into the sky and meeting the sky, and that's going to become the crashing waves. And I just thought, I'm hoping that the texture will spring out towards the viewer and give a sort of 3D effect, as if they are actually immersed in the elements. So I want it to be abstract expressionist, abstract expressionism, where it's abstract, but I want it to be sort of real enough and expressive enough to actually recreate elements of the sea and the sky. So I want it to be timeless, so it could be taking place at any time in history, from the Big Bang right up until present day. And so that's working on the sea at the moment, laying down some base blue colours, and I'm working in layers. So the sky is quite muted and grey and purple at the moment, and it's going to become more and more vibrant as I add more layers. And the sea, I'm going to create a sort of metallic effect. I'm planning on putting down a large amount of copper, metallic copper paint as an underpainting, which is then going to be worked over with the blues and the greens of the sea, and hopefully the metallic elements will show through. So I'm working on the sky at the moment, and I think there's possibly too much texture in the sky. I don't think it needs to have as much texture in the sky as the sea does. So as I'm going, I'm just removing slightly some of the string and texture and adding it more to the base of the painting. So I let that layer dry, and now I'm working over it again with a brush and adding more muted colours and trying to build a layered sky. So that's the sunrise is going to be sort of the middle of the top third, and at the moment I'm darkening the edges to make it look more obvious that I'm trying to draw the eye to the centre where the sunset is. where the warm colours are, the bright warm colours. I'm going to go over that with golds as well to really attract the eye to the shine. So at the moment I'm just darkening the edges. They're not really thunderous clouds, but I want it to seem very elemental, as if it's, all the elements are raging. So here comes the copper paint now. And this is something that people used to do years ago. They used to use metallic paint underneath portraits mainly to make the skin look more luminous, and then paint over it so you couldn't see the gold or the copper or whatever the metallic paint was. And I'm trying to do the same thing. I've just got the copper paint there underneath, and now I'm going to add, using palette knife there, and I've taken some of the string off the sky and adding it to the water to create the effect of waves. And so now working on the sky again. At the moment it's very unrealistic colours, but these are just the lower layers. I'm just building them up, but I want peeps of this to show through, just little bits of these colours, the vivid colours to show through at the end. So going over the copper now with the more realistic sea colours of blues and black even, and greens. And I'm using a mixture of acrylic paint and inks. The inks are very strong, very vibrant colours and pigments. And I'm using the spray to splash it around like real water. That purple's a bit too purpley though. I think I'll need to mop that up a bit with a tissue. Otherwise it might affect the sunset, and I don't want it to interfere with that. There we go, get rid of that. And now blend in the purples and just make it a sort of lowering, wintry sunset. So it's a seascape. So the main focus of the picture is going to be the sea at the base, and that's going to be raging and wild, and the sky's reflecting that wildness with a bit of purple. It's not really thunderous, but it's elemental. I want it to show the different parts of the world of nature, and it's where the sea meets the sky, and they're both in sort of competition and harmony with each other. So I'm now moving the sunset to the middle top third of the sky, and trying to make that the focal point at the same time as the textured sea. So sky first, and then do the textured sea over the top of it so that it's leaping up almost to touch the clouds. And at the moment there's not much definition on the sea, so I'm going to do that at the very end. I'm going to make it bluer and more natural colours after I've done the sky and made the sky as I want it. I want it to be a sort of it's not going to be a lame sunset. I want it to be a raging sunset over raging sea. It's like the world's crashing, it's furious. So I'm putting some hot colours back in and to the base. Right, the sky is more how I want it now, and now I'm linking in the colours of the sky, the blues of the sky to the blues of the sea, and it's almost like you can hardly tell where the sky and the sea meet. Sometimes when you look at a landscape you think, where's the edge? A bit like in a snowstorm, you can't tell where the sky meets the ground, and I'm hoping for that effect where you can tell where it's definitely sea and definitely sky, and then at some point that crosses over and it moves into a sort of halfway area where you think, is that waves? Is that clouds? What is it? So I'm going to bring the texture forwards in a minute by adding some white highlights and bringing out the hessian and the sac and the waves. I'm going to splash some white onto there as the spray from the waves, and a bit of gold onto the sunset to draw the eye. So I'm making the waves stand out now, trying to make it look a bit more 3D, but still expressive and abstract. Getting a bit carried away there with the splashes. So here we go, the finishing parts of it, just going for a little detail now. And you just keep going until it feels right, getting my hands in. I always get my hands and my fingers in of painting, because it just feels right to get involved. I just suddenly stop thinking about brushes and start getting my hands into it. A bit like grounding and standing on the grass with bare feet. You want to feel the earth. I like to feel the painting, and it's almost like I'm part of it. So there's the tossing, turning sea under a raging sky. And I think the textures help to bring forward those waves and make them look as if they're really jumping up and out of the picture. So adding a bit more blue there and a bit more depth. And here we are, almost the end. Let's have a look at some of the textures.